Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. Today, I'm excited because I get to dive into a brand new BouRye on the scene. This is coming from Take and the folks over at Barrell. And if you remember last year, they did this Take collab. If you don't know who Take is, by the way, r/bourbon. If you're ever on Reddit, r/bourbon is like Take's baby. He's pretty well known there, does lots of barrel. If you've ever wanted to get into like getting good barrel picks without like going to a local store or whatever, you know, the guys over at r/bourbon do this all the time. They do barrel picks, and it's like lottery style. So you just sort of like sign up and opt in. I think it's like a newsletter system, but you opt in, you say, hey, I'm interested in that one, I'm interested in that one, and they'll run the lottery, and I've scored tons of barrel pick bottles from them doing that. So, and they go all over the place, lots of different distilleries and all that business. So feel free to check that out. But anyways, Take and the guys over at Barrell, last year they released this bottle called Infinite, and we did cover it here on the channel. If I remember to, maybe I'll link that review in the description. But anyways, this year they decided to do a different thing. They're putting Infinite on hold for 2025 and pursuing a different project, which is this Synthesis 1. This is number 1. First time they've done it. But it's a BouRye. And Take talks about this in his write-up on this bottle. He's like, you know, we feel like the BouRye category, there's just not a lot of heavy hitters there. No one's really exploring that avenue. So we wanted to really take it seriously and try to like set a new standard in the BouRye category. So we'll see if they accomplish that today with Synthesis 1. So a few things you got to know about this bottle. I think MSRP is $120. They're releasing it in waves. So if you missed wave 1, I think you've got more chances. I don't know how many drops they're going to do, but you've got more chances at it. Check things like shared pour. Make sure with shared pour, if they deliver to your state, that is, make sure that you opt in for getting emails from them, because they will, like, often when it comes to stuff like this, they'll send out an email just to everybody on their mailing list and say, hey, this is what's coming. If you're interested in it, let us know. Or, hey, the sales for this bottle just went live. And that way you never miss the thing that you want. Even if it's not on your radar, you just get an email and you're like, that sounds awesome. I do want that. So anyways, shared pour, $120. The MSRP, or not the MSRP, the proof for this is different on the write-up that Take did than it is in the picture. Like the pictured bottle is 118.2, but the write-up is 115.8. Either way, not a huge difference. You're right there between 115 and 120 proof. I think the yield was 612 bottles, so a decent amount. But it's a blend of straight bourbons and straight ryes. All of them are 7+ years old, and they're coming out of Kentucky and Indiana. But we don't know where specifically. You know, the write-up for this bottle, you know, Take says that they explored lots of different distilleries. So I am a little bit like, I don't know if I'm not necessarily disappointed, but it seems like the scope was wide, but to just get this, you know, nondescript Indiana and Kentucky feels very in line with a lot of other barrel releases. So I don't know. It's not that I'm disappointed. I guess I'm a little bit surprised if they were trying to cast a wide net and then we get what's probably MGP and I don't know, Barton or I don't know what. But anyways, I guess I would prefer a little more transparency. Like just if you're super proud of your blend, tell me what's in the blend. That's just a personal preference. I know a lot of people don't care. They're like, I don't care. If it tastes good, it tastes good. And that's great. Ultimately, that's what we want, is for a whiskey that tastes really, really good. Personal preference, when it comes to blending, I really think that if you're really proud of your blend and what you've created here, I want to know what it is. You know what I mean? That's just personal preference. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get in on this and see if it's any good. Color's really pretty. Like the color of a freshly polished trombone. French horn, even. Let's get in here and nose it. I must admit, like my BouRye experience is fairly limited, and it's probably just because the category itself is fairly limited in terms of offerings. You ever go to like a fondue place? This makes me think, for some reason, it's like melon, like cubed melons, and you stab it with a toothpick or something. You dip it in like a white chocolate fountain of some kind, or a fondue pot. Yeah, this is giving me white chocolate and melon fruit. You know, maybe muskmelon, honeydew melon on the nose. I'm a bit of a coffee snob. I really enjoy, you know, just just fresh. I grind my beans fresh every morning. Never do pre-ground stuff. I like to grind them by hand if I have the time, just so I can get a good consistent grind. I kind of like that process. It's something therapeutic about it, and making fresh coffee like that every morning from a roaster that you really appreciate. But every now and then, guilty pleasure, I'm not opposed to getting like a white mocha from, like a Starbucks or something like that, a local chain of some kind that's just tons of sugar. And then when you get to the bottom of the white mocha, and there's like that thick white chocolate syrup with a little bit of like espresso in it. On the nose, this reminds me of that, getting to the bottom of a white mocha, and there's a bunch of that white chocolate syrup that didn't get fully mixed in. But there is this unmistakable rye quality about it. A little bit of fresh cut grass, those mature yellow fruits, and just a tiny bit of a zip to it on the nose. This peppery quality, like fresh white peppercorn that you're grinding. All in all, a fairly appealing nose. I got nothing against this. But let's get in on it and give it a try, shall we? Cheers. First sip of the day. You get a lot of that peppercorn zip kind of right after that initial contact where it hits your tongue. You get this confectionery sweetness, and then that peppercorn zip comes right after it pretty quickly. And then that like white chocolate note we were getting with a little bit of fruit comes along for the mid palate, and I really enjoy that experience. But the fruit has changed. It's no longer the melon, the muskmelon, the honeydew melon. It's more like citrusy. I'm thinking like mandarin oranges and white chocolate on the mid palate here. The kind you get in like I've got young kids. And you're always looking for good, easy, cheap snacks for kids, especially in the summertime when they're home from school. And those little cups of like plastic cups you get from the store of mandarin oranges, these tiny little orange slices, just sitting in their own juices. It's kind of like that. The finish is giving me this like slightly burnt sugar quality. I love that note. Like when you leave a marshmallow over the fire slightly too long and just the edges of it get a little bit blackened. It's kind of like that. But the finish is actually quite interesting because, like I said, I am getting that burnt sugar quality, but there's also this fermented fruit note that's hanging out for a while. If you were to have a cognac, a distilled wine of some kind, and there's a little bit of that funky fermented red fruit in there, it reminds me a lot of that. Especially if I kind of keep my mouth open on the inside but closed and exhale long through my nose, and it kind of circulates everything in there. That funky quality really starts to just sort of like a vapor inside here, just starts to swirl around. Really interesting. It's interesting. I almost don't like the name BouRye because it sets this precedent, this expectation that what you're about to sip is going to feel like a combination of a bourbon and a rye. And this, to me, feels like its own unique thing. I don't know what else you would call it. I mean, it is a bourbon rye blend, but I feel like the name itself is making this mental expectation that what I'm about to taste is gonna be like a bourbon and a rye mixed together. This to me feels like that's a bit reductive to call it that. This to me is like its own thing. Right? It's not just the sum of its parts. It's its own unique entity here. It's got its own kind of flavor, its own kind of vibe. And I feel like calling it a BouRye is sort of, like I said, reductive. It's almost like comparing it to when you go to a soda fountain and you just decide to start mixing them all. You go down the line, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that, because that's a jumbled mess. This is not a jumbled mess. This feels to me like it's got a clear sense of identity. When it comes to personal preferences, the only thing I would nitpick about is that I do wish I got a little bit more of that caramely base, molassesy caramely base to it to give it a little bit more body. But that's being nitpicky because it is exceptionally delicious to sip on. I have been sitting with this now for a good 6 minutes. There was a bit of a time break in the video recording. It is thoroughly enjoyable. It does cling. It's not overly viscous in terms of the mouthfeel, but it does seem to stick around for a good while. And like I said, really opening up the inside of my mouth and exhaling through my nose kind of circulates a lot of those fermented fruit notes, while just sitting with it like normal is where I get more of the burnt sugars. It does, on like subsequent sips, it does maintain that zippy quality to it, but it's not overly peppery like a young, bitey rye might be. But I think the most dominant flavor components here for me are the citrus and the white chocolate on the palate, a little bit of that white peppercorn zip, and that finish, like we said, those burnt sugars and fermented funky fruits. That's how I would sum up this sip. All in all, quite enjoyable. If I were to give this a score for my scale, I think it would land at an 8.4. I think there's room for growth here. I think this is a great first entry point for Take and the crew over at Barrell. And I think that there's even further they could take this thing if they chose to and refine it a bit, collect a little bit of feedback. For me, like I said, only thing that I think would elevate this even further, giving it a little bit more of the bassy quality, right? If you could get like a brownie batter underneath here, or if you could get that molassesy kind of a vibe underneath, I think you would elevate this a little bit more. 8.4 though for your first swing at this. Really freaking good, guys. Real freaking good. So if that sounds good to you, those tasting notes, then keep an eye out for this bottle. You know, sign up to get emails from Shared Pour, so you'll get notified when things like this go live, and you can check them out yourself. Big shout out to Thrice, who is our resident barrel connoisseur expert fanatic in our Discord, for sending in the sample from his bottle. I really appreciate it, brother. Very kind of you. If you want to get involved with our community, feel free to do so. Discord link in the description here. You can check it out for free. Join, introduce yourself, say hello. We'd love to get to know you a little bit. And if you want to get involved in some stuff that we got going on, we do things like virtual bottle shares, some friendly competitions. We've got one right now where people are sending in samples from different states, and I'm going to do a blind. I don't even know what's being sent in or where they're from, but I'm going to do a blind that showcases sort of staple profiles coming out from different states across the country. And I'll do a blind tournament. There's multiple submissions, so it'll probably be like a 3-video series. I'll pick a winner. The winner is going to get a custom engraved whiskey drinking glass, which is kind of a cool accolade. We've only handed one of those out before on the channel because one person was able to take down my bottle in my Beat My Bottle series, who was DMC, I believe, with a Found North bottle. Anyways, we try to do fun stuff. Come by, say hello, check it out. And if you want to support the channel, you can join the Patreon group for as little as $1, which is basically free. But all of that just goes to funding the bottles we pick up and review here on the channel. Big shout out to anybody who might be new, who came, had one video just talking about this bourbon boom / bust transition. And that really blew up. It was like 10,000 views, which is, for my channel, is itty bitty, so that's a lot. It kind of caught a wave of some kind in the algorithm. If you're new to the channel because of that video, welcome. We're happy to have you. Hopefully you decide to stick around, taste some whiskey with us, and we'll enjoy your presence. With that, I say cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.